It's time to pick a side. The border war is on the air with BG and TanMan.
The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it. You.
All right, BG, it's that time of year again. Everyone, welcome into episode 157 of The Border War. This is our second annual Festivus episode, if you couldn't tell by the great Frank Costanza intro. BG, this was probably one of our most listened to shows last year.
I think it was the most listened to show last year.
Might be.
At least by the stats we can see, which is not all of our stats. But
right.
A lot of our platforms don't have stats, apparently.
Yeah, but no, one of our most popular episodes.
Can I add that to my list of grievances?
What?
The idea that Spotify isn't tracking who listens. Come on, man.
They probably are. They're just
Nobody
not giving it
believes
to
that.
us.
They just won't tell us.
But yeah, like I said, one of our most popular episodes. We had a lot of fun last year doing it, so we decided on the way out the door for the holidays, we're going to do another one. Again, if you're listening to it, happy Festivus, because we'll have it uploaded, set to upload on the 23rd, which is the great holiday.
That's part of the secret to recording stuff, man. You're not supposed to be acting like it's a week early. They're listening to it. Today's December 23rd. Happy Festivus.
Happy Festivus.
Yay.
This show is...
Watch out for the poll.
This show is brought to you by the Human Fund, Money for People. So go out, get the pole out of the basement. No tinsel. I find it a little distracting. And let your family and friends know all the ways they've disappointed you over the last year. BG and I think last year we just kind of had a lot of grievances. We just spent the time
we tweeted it out like
chest.
2 months ahead of time, so a lot of people had emailed us with stuff that was pissing them off in the sports world. I don't think we did that this year, but you still have a couple, right?
We got a few that
TanMan doesn't let me know the password to the show's email, so I can't ever check the email.
And the big secret is sometimes I don't always check the email either.
Yeah, we are aware of one time you didn't check the email.
That is true. That's why you're listening to us here instead of another way. But that's that's neither here nor there. No guarantee you'd still be listening to us on there either.
If you give us a couple of extra weeks, we'll screw it up. Don't you worry about that.
BG, so last year, like I said, we just kind of went all over the place. We aired our grievances. We got a lot off our chest. With our second annual episode,
I think we talked about some hockey last year.
We got a little bit of everything. We're going to try to zone it in a little bit more. We're going to start off just with some out of the box stuff. BG, I'm talking hockey, tennis, golf, whatever outside of the main box that we've kind of built here on the Border War. Give me a grievance. Give me a grievance or two that you have outside the box.
I've got a whole series of grievances written down here that really all revolve around Twitter, where you and I are forced to spend more time than we would like.
I don't know. Sometimes lately I've just been like, nah.
I'll tell you. I'm going to start off with overdone Twitter phrases, right? Including some done by some folks that have really been supportive of us, local guys here that have retweeted the show, been really nice to us. But sometimes this stuff, a couple of examples, good morning to all of you who blah, 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 who recognize that Johnny Cash is the greatest country singer of all time. And there's usually a screenshot of something to go with it. Or some of you have never blah, 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 and it shows. Usually kind of retro posts, like some of you have never seen the original Star Wars trilogy, and it shows. And they're clever, but it's done so much. And so many people on Twitter follow or fall into just posting the same crap. Another one you'll see a lot, NBA specific, is can we all agree? 2 players with a greater than sign pointing to one of them. And it just turns into a giant flame war. And it's really
most of the time, those are stupid. They'll have a J.R. Smith and a Magic Johnson, and the J.R. Smith will have the greater than sign. Like, stop it, man.
Or
you're just trying to make people mad.
Yeah, that example there reminds me, who is this? And it'll be a picture of Eddie Murphy. wrong answers only.
Oh God!
Or
I'm gonna tell
I'm
my
gonna
kids.
tell my kids that.
Stop,
I'm sick of it.
Stop
and
it.
again, it's not that it's not funny. It's that I'm seeing it 100 times by 100 different posters every single day. Man, come up with your own stuff or stop tweeting.
I'm gonna tell you what I'm not done with. I'm not done with the lady and the cat memes. That stuff is hilarious, man. Some of those things are freaking hilarious.
Some of them don't make any sense at all, like any meme, because people could just make it.
Right. Some of those lady and the cat memes are pretty funny, man.
Well, the thing about a meme that is different, though, is that you can add your own spin on it.
Yeah.
You know, you're putting your words on it. So you're taking... That doesn't bother me as much because there's still some creativity to it. I'm talking about these people just throwing the same fishing line in the water over and over.
Well, you know what those people are, though. Those people are like 16-year-old kids who are sneaking their cell phone during biology class.
Why are they following me? Or why am I following them?
Why are you following them?
Question.
I got one for you, BG. Have you ever been flipping through the channels? And me, you know, I like to watch a lot of basketball, of course. So I'll flip through the channels and I'll see like these obscure team names, right? You know, be like, you know, the Austin Diablos against the New Orleans Voodoo. I'm thinking, oh, okay, you know, this is going to be like a semi-pro basketball league, or it's going to be some sort of lower tier football. And then I turn the TV on to that channel, and it's freaking Ultimate Frisbee.
Oh,
can we stop this, man? What is this?
That would have been a
what
joke.
Is this?
That would have been a joke in like the dodgeball movie 10 years ago.
Yes.
On the Ocho.
Yeah, you turn on, I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, I wonder what this is. And literally every time it's Ultimate Frisbee.
Especially when from time to time.
Why is this on TV?
From time to time, there's a South Carolina basketball game on and I can't watch it. Or a South Carolina baseball game on and I can't watch it. But that's on. But that's on.
Nah. What else you got outside the box? Anything interesting?
Yeah, I got an OJ tweet.
Listen, I am here for all things OJ all the time.
And it kind of follows the same train I was just riding there. But, man, stop tweeting OJ with knife jokes.
Yeah.
It's just overdone. It's not that I think it's inappropriate. Yeah, I think it's kind of inappropriate he cut his wife's head off. I mean, I do. But
you can't do that.
But you can't. Well, you can. You just have to go to jail for... Well, no, you don't have to go to jail for that.
You don't really have to either.
You don't have to go to jail for that, but you cannot try to steal back your sports memorabilia from Buffalo.
We're drawing the line on that one.
I do find OJ to be an entertaining Twitter follow. It's not his stuff. It's the comments. And how everyone has to say, oh, you really stabbed to the heart of that one, OJ. And I mean, again, kind of funny, but just thousands. It's every comment. There's nothing individualistic. It's so boring.
The first video he posted, and people did that kind of stuff. You're like, oh, okay, they got you. But he's a pretty regular Twitter poster. He tweets a lot about fantasy football and that kind of stuff.
He has a lot of pretty good insight about sports.
No, he
I wouldn't let him babysit my kids, but I mean, I'm willing to listen to him from a distance.
Right. But yeah, come on, man. Give it up, man.
Plus, I think there's the small chance that he'll find you and come and kill you. I don't want that either.
Well, I don't know.
Who wants OJ to kill them? Nobody.
Here's the question.
There are probably some people that do, actually.
If OJ was your neighbor, would you hang out with him?
No.
No?
No. I would move.
See, I think I would. I don't know why.
Well...
But I think if OJ was my neighbor...
You don't hang out with anybody. You don't even hang out with me.
I think if OJ... Well, you never invite me anywhere.
Oh, please.
I have been angling for an invite to a certain activity for quite some time, and I've yet to receive it. That's a different story. If OJ was my neighbor, I think...
A certain activity. Okay.
I think I would hang out with OJ. I think I would invite OJ over to, like, grill hamburgers and stuff. I think it'd be kind of cool. I'm surprised you say no.
You know what? You know what we need for a sound effect? Crickets. Yeah. That's one we could use.
Yeah.
We could use crickets.
All right, BG, so let's
because I would have used it right then.
Yeah, I don't know why. You act like you wouldn't. Yes, you would.
I don't know. I'd be really nervous.
Well, you might be nervous at first, but he's one of those guys. I feel like he would walk in a room and he'd make you feel like
I feel like I would get about
years.
8 or 9 beers in me, and I'd be like having my arm around him. All right, tell me what happened.
Yeah, man. Come on, dude. Spill the beans.
And I think then he would not be happy, and I think I would get killed.
Oh, man, BG, let's move on. Let's get in the box. We'll start off with some college basketball since that is the gaping open wound right now. So I'm going to start us off. Listen, my grievance in college basketball early on in the season, the guy that's, I don't watch these games. These games don't matter. And then come March, they want to tell you why they picked all their bracket picks and their upset picks. And, they picked Stephen F. Austin. You didn't know anything about Stephen F. Austin until their name popped up on the TV in Selection Sunday. Stop it, man. That guy, I just want to punch that guy in the face. What about you?
College basketball, I mean, honestly, I think the aggressive referees this season have been really hard on me. I've tried watching a lot of kind of big marquee games, man, and I get that fouling is built into the game of basketball, but it just seems like at the college level, a lot of half-court college offenses are hard to watch to begin with.
You've been watching some North Carolina basketball, I can tell by that comment.
I have been watching some North Carolina basketball, but we're not doing a lot more innovative things down in Columbia. But sometimes, man, it just feels like these refs are trying as hard as they can to make you change the channel. I don't know. I think there's an art to calling a basketball game, and some of these dudes
some of them just don't have it, man.
Now, I will say this. The guys that called my sixth graders game Saturday, they had the right philosophy, because I'm telling you, there were power bombs being delivered on that court. There were no whistles blown. That clock did not stop. They called traveling once, I think, just to check off the box. Now, yeah, we were here.
That's like being a Little League baseball umpire, man. You better not call that a ball. You better get that bat off your shoulder. We're getting out of here, man.
Right.
Everything's a strike.
Yeah, it was tough. But yeah, that's my big thing, and I don't see it so much in the NBA. I don't. I'm sure that there's just as many fouls called. The game's obviously longer. It feels like NBA games are allowed to flow a little longer than college basketball a lot of times.
Now, I tell you, I got another one. You've heard Gus Johnson.
Sure.
Right? Gus Johnson is a national treasure behind the microphone. Why is this man buried on Fox?
There's a lot of those.
Why is this guy buried on Fox where he's calling Big Ten basketball, Big East basketball? We're both cord cutters. So if you want to watch Fox, you literally have to go out of your way to watch it from
impossible to find
from your main package.
Unless it happens to be on FS1, which is not often.
Right, and now we have this treasure in Gus Johnson, this fantastic voice behind the microphone, buried in this outpost of college basketball broadcasting. Bring Gus Johnson back out of Fox. That is a travesty that man is buried out there. And my last grievance is preseason polls, man. And really, this could go across
football, college football too.
Every sport, every college sport, preseason polls.
But especially those two men's sports.
Look, that's part of the reason why I think North Carolina is getting some of the flack, besides the fact that they have played like hot garbage. But when you slap that number 5 or number 4 or whatever ranking that is before they've ever played a game, right? And then they get in, it's like, oh, well, maybe they're not quite that. And then it takes them a month to fall out.
Literally a different team.
Yes, and it takes them
Luke May ain't walking onto that court.
No, and it takes them a month to fall out of that top 25. So all for an entire month now, well, we get to watch North Carolina sink like a stone in the polls every week. Like, it shouldn't even be a thing.
Wofford didn't really beat the 17th best team in the country.
No, not even close. But you didn't have to throw that in, man. Just pulling the old OJ, sticking the knife in.
Oh, one more time.
Over to the NBA side, BG. One of my grievances, one of my big problems with NBA people. Listen, the people who like to complain about the length of the schedule, right? What else do you want them to do? They have literally stretched the season out as far as they could stretch it. The off season is like 4 weeks long. The season starts like a month earlier now than it did, back in the glory days when Jordan was getting slammed by the Pistons in the what else do you want them to do? They've cut out the back-to-backs, they've stretched the games out, and we're still complaining about the length of the schedule. I don't get it. Get it.
Well, mine's sort of related. I'm tired of people complaining about load management.
Yes.
I'm tired of. Okay, so let me make.
I'm tired of load management in general.
Well, right. And my point is this, because of the length of the season, it's not, I think people misunderstand this. All right, so last year, Kawhi played, I want to say I read it was 62 games?
I'd say somewhere around 60, 65, yeah.
Okay. Can somebody argue to me that wasn't a good decision? I mean,
I don't think Toronto would.
Right. Okay, so here's the bottom line. Why was he able to sit out 25 games? Because there's 82 of them. Mm-hmm. They don't need them all. It's not the Raptors' fault that the season is as long as it is. Now, I'm not getting into the argument if it should be later, longer, whatever. It goes back to the whole don't hate the player, hate the game, right? Okay, so if you're these guys, now there's a difference between Kawhi saying, I'm better in the playoffs when I don't play for 20 games, and him saying, I don't want to play in those 20 games. Again, we get confused as fans. And I get the fan reaction. I remember when Greenberg was on Mike and Mike for years and years, he was like, look, this is a huge problem for this league. Fans show up when, I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, the Cavaliers, when LeBron was still there, were going to be in Charlotte. I believe it was December the 23rd. Mm-hmm. And we looked at tickets, and for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And then I found out afterwards LeBron didn't play in that game.
Probably didn't even come.
If I had paid $150 for the four of us to go up there and not see LeBron James play, I would have been angry. But the thing is, those are my fan goals, right? What is the Cleveland Cavaliers' goal? To win a title. They've
clearly said we don't care about the fans. That is out. That genie is out of the bottle.
But if the NFL says they do, if Major League Baseball says they do, heck, if AEW says they do, man, they care about you once you pay. They don't
after that.
And I'm sorry. Look, we have set these parameters. The same people complaining about all this stuff turn out and judge guys for the rest of their career based on how many rings they won. I mean.
I've got two rebuttals. That one, did you see the LeBron James comment the other day?
That's what.
The kids. This might be the time. Dude, you're literally the guy who, in the middle of the season, took like 2 weeks and 3 weeks off one year in Cleveland. He just LeBron, took a break and left.
I think you could make the argument he's really the one that made it mainstream.
Yes, no, the guy in the middle of the season literally just said, "I need a break," and left for like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Number one, stop it. Number two,
I tell you, both of us spent lots of time 4 years ago, 5 years ago, before we started doing the show, talking about how annoying all the LeBron hate was. I'm kind of on board now.
Yeah.
I'm tired of him.
Yeah, but
I'm tired of him.
No, my other point of that is everyone makes this thing like, well, if we shorten the season, that'll solve some of these guys sitting out. No, it won't. Because instead of playing 65 of 82 games, if you shorten it to 70, they'll play 50 out of the 70. Like, this is not going to stop. This is going to be a thing. And as superstars, deal with nicked up injuries, or in Kawhi's case, a pretty major injury, and they start progressing in their careers, they're going to take time off. I don't think that there's anything you can do. As annoying as it is to me, as a fan, you're not putting that genie back in the bottle, man. So, no, shortening the season is not going to solve your load management problem, in my opinion. They're still going to sit out games.
And I would say this, too. Guys that want to talk about Oscar Robertson, that's fine, but this is not the same game.
No, it's totally different.
If you go back and watch even Lakers-Celtics games from the 80s, these offenses didn't run like they do now. And I would love to see an estimate made of how much further in an 82-game season defensive players have to actually physically run now than they did then, even in the 90s.
I saw something one time. It said like during an average NBA game, players run like 8 miles or 9 miles or something like that.
Yeah, think about that.
That's a lot of miles.
It's incredible.
Look, I'm not
on a hardwood floor.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that a guy that plays 30 minutes nights probably doesn't need to take a night off every once in a while. I'm just saying when you're talking about missing a quarter of the season, it seems like a little much to me.
But here's the thing. They do it because it works.
Well, and
that's all I'm saying. I don't like it, but it dictates itself.
It worked last year for sure.
Yeah.
Gordon from Atlanta, Georgia, he chimes in on the NBA side. He is tired of the playoff format.
You said Gordon from Boston, Massachusetts.
From Atlanta. From Atlanta, Georgia. He's tired of the playoff.
A joke, man. Gordon Hayward. I thought you were going to say he's tired of devastating knee injuries.
Oh, you want to talk about low-hanging fruit here?
Well, I mean, he's not listening.
My cricket's button.
If
now.
he
might be.
Hey, well, if
he's not now.
If he is, I'll stick OJ on him.
Yeah,
he's living right next door to me.
Well, it doesn't matter. You wouldn't go over and talk to him. But Gordon, he's tired. He's got a grievance with the playoff format. Gordon thinks that they need to go to the 1 through 16 seed, scrap the East-West. That's a popular opinion that's gaining some steam.
The way they are.
Well,
they let in too many teams.
Well, here's my thing.
Nobody can argue there need to be 8 seeds on each side of that mess. Nobody.
Here's my take on the NBA playoffs. Should we go to the 1/16? I think it would be fun at first, but as long as you're not Miami getting matched up with Portland in the first round, where you're crisscrossing the country 2 or 3 times in a week, so that I think is going to be ultimately what squashes that. My only thing with the NBA playoffs, though, it's not even the amount of teams that get in. Because what are you going to do? You want to cut it to 4? You want to cut the playoff field in half? That seems a little extreme.
I would cut it to 12 teams.
All right. Well, that seems a little extreme. But you cut it to 6, then you're talking about teams getting byes.
That's a good point.
I don't know that I don't know that.
Well, not
basketball.
Not when you do series.
Well, right, when you do series,
do it in baseball.
Yeah.
You do it in baseball.
What?
You get byes.
Yeah, but those guys, when they play that wild card round, they do it in football. They've got that but that wild card is just one game. You're getting maybe 3 days off. You're getting like a late All-Star. But in the NBA, you would be talking about getting like a week and a half off.
What if you make the first round best of 3?
Yeah.
6 teams on each side.
Maybe, but see, I don't think the number.
And just make the divisions East and West and call it.
You
got to keep East and West. I'm with you on that, man. You can't be doing that.
You can't do that. No, to me, the only thing is it's too long. The NBA playoffs are 2 months, 2.5 months long.
Yeah.
I told a buddy yesterday, the Lakers fan, we were talking about it the other day. Lakers Clippers Western Conference Finals. They play in the same building, man, and that series is still going to take a week and a half or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They literally play in the same building. And its series is going to take 2 weeks to play.
Well, they have to make it take as long as everybody else's are taking.
I'm just like, stop it, man.
And it's television. They're going to have so many on per night. And we had some compelling first-round matchups this last season. Several of those initial series went to 7 games.
Yeah.
But none of them were upsets.
No,
it's too much of it feels like foregone conclusions.
It does. But all right, so if we already know that Milwaukee is going to blast Orlando or whoever they play in that first round,
Charlotte's going to be the 8th seed.
Why should this thing? Yeah, why should they're going to make the playoffs after they let Kemba Walker? Why should we stretch that out to 2 weeks?
Right. No,
go back to best of 5 for that first round. And let's get this show on the road, man.
Yeah,
let's get things moving along.
They're not going to not have it because just like my argument of why does load management happen? Because it works. Why does the NBA have too many games? Why do they have too many playoff teams? Because they make money.
Yeah, because TV,
it makes them
TNT
money.
And ESPN pay for all of it.
Yes.
That's why. Speaking of moving things along, let's move the Festivus episode along over to college football, BG. One of my grievances on the college football world, you just saw it this past Saturday. Joe Burrow wins the Heisman Trophy. A record amount of votes. He wins by a record margin. How the heck was there anybody that didn't have this guy even on their ballot? Because he was on like 98% of the ballots.
Right.
What about the other 2% of people?
Yeah,
Who are these people not putting Joe Burrow in their Heisman finalist ballot? What is this?
Probably Alabama.
Yeah, you should have your Heisman vote stripped away. If you don't want to vote for Chase Young, okay, fine.
Well,
the man's on 98% of the ballots.
Let me give you another example. I just tweeted about it a little while ago. Javon Kinlaw, right?
Huh?
Probably going to go, I don't know, what would you say, 12, 13, first round, something like that?
Okay.
All right. Second team, all SEC. First team, all American.
Yeah. No, what is that?
That's the SEC hates South Carolina and always have, since they had to let us in to fill their schedule out. I've been telling you that for years, man. I mean,
Somebody I heard the other night.
But I'm not. We're not alone in that regard.
No,
Arkansas is right there with us. Mississippi State's right there with us, and in other conferences, there are other teams that are right there with us. Utah's probably right there. Do you really think the Pac-12 is like Utah? That's going to be our flag bearer. The whole country, Paul Faba, nobody wants to see Utah in the playoff, and he's right. They didn't, but again.
No, the Pac-12 was begrudgingly pulling for Utah in that championship
College
game.
sports are still sort of blatantly crooked. They just are. And it's just openly so in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the whole concept of it. For years and years on message boards, you would see people call the national title the MNC, right? The mythical national title, because it was voted on by reporters. And, you know, you had that year in 1990 where Georgia Tech and Colorado both won it, even though Colorado won a game they should have lost because they got a fifth down to go for it on fifth and
Heck,
goal.
even with the BCS, we had a split national champion one year. Yeah,
Sure.
This is supposed to solve all the problems, and like 5 years into the thing, we've already got 2 champions. We already can't decide.
Well, I mean, and you know, I hate Clemson, but if we were still in the BCS, they would have gotten left out of the playoffs as an undefeated reigning national champion. That's pretty crazy. All right, but the entire idea, like the ACC schedule issue, the Pac-12 constantly being left out, the fact that you've got, you know, schools like App State, who clearly can beat Division I Power 5 schools because they beat both of us.
Yeah.
All right. You've got all these schools out there, hundreds and hundreds of them. They don't play each other. They're all the way across the country. Half of them aren't even on television, and nobody cares, even when they are good. When a school like Washington makes it into the playoff, everybody complains about it. All right. It's completely unbalanced, off the board, but the whole emphasis has become that.
So what you're arguing, if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're arguing is for the split of Division I college football. Then you want this group, you know, the ACC and the SEC. You want them to play in this, and then you want the App States and the Troys, and you want those teams to play for something different.
I think that would be more fair to those schools. But because
the flip side of that though is like App State App State chose to come up here. You know what I mean? Like Liberty chose to come up here. But they also knew kind of what the deal was. I don't think you're necessarily wrong, but you're wrong in saying that it's unbalanced.
I'm just talking about how it's a farce to act like you've got in college football what you have in the NFL, where you have this balanced schedule that's controlled. You have all these conferences who frankly have no purpose anymore. Now, again, here's where it gets sticky. We're talking about college football, because in every other sport, tons of purpose. You can't have volleyball and women's basketball and golf in any of those sports without the conferences. But in football, man, they're dinosaurs. No, the whole thing has become crazy.
The reason it's so crazy in college football is because of the conference sizes. When you have 15, 16 team conferences, right?
With a 12-team schedule, with only 7 of which are conference games.
Right. Well, when you have the when you have
LSU
the disparity,
and South Carolina go 12 years without playing.
Right.
Each
when
other.
you have the disparity in conference size, and then you combine that with the fact that they don't even all play the same number of conference games. Like take the Big 12 for instance. When they only played the 8 games, they didn't have a conference schedule. They played the round robin, whatever it was. They got left out of the playoff.
Right.
But now, let's say Utah wins, and Oklahoma Oklahoma wins, or whoever wins that Big 12. you're only going to have one loss, but because you played the round and because you got a conference championship game, like that's going to keep you
right.
It's like they couldn't win for losing. So as long as you still have that disparity between conference to conference, like until they all kind of, if they all would ever get on the same page, none of that stuff's going to be even. The Pac-12 is always going to be the redheaded stepchild in the room. I don't think there's anything that you could do to fix that.
Yeah, you're probably right. Short of some massive realignment that would have to be handled inorganically.
That would be amazing. I would love to be in that room. Let me kind of pick and choose and build a new
Where
conference.
do people make sense?
Yes.
Like, what's interesting?
Yeah. Like Creighton. This is all that. Creighton is in the Big East in basketball. Dude, you're in freaking Omaha, Nebraska. What are you doing in the Big East? Makes no sense.
South Carolina's the perfect example because South Carolina bailed out of its natural conference.
No. That's what I was going to tell you. I can't remember who it was. Someone was telling a great story on the radio the other night. I think it was on the Corn Blue show. The guy he has with him.
Yeah.
Used to play at South Carolina.
South Carolina, back in the 70s.
Yeah, so years before I was even around. But he was telling kind of the inside story about how that whole thing with them and the SEC kind of went like they wanted back in the ACC. But the ACC, for whatever reason, they picked Florida State over them. Like they were on the verge of being back in.
Well, they happened about the same time.
Both about 91, 92.
90, and then South Carolina
was on the verge of being back in, and it just right up, kind of like at the last minute.
And it's just such a shame because, money and all that be damned. I'm sorry. South Carolina versus Missouri, South Carolina versus Texas A&M, South Carolina versus Arkansas versus South Carolina versus North Carolina State. South Carolina versus North Carolina every year. South Carolina and Clemson being a conference game.
I agree with you.
It's South Carolina and Florida State. That at least replaces Florida, right? The only game of any merit that you lose is Georgia. And you can schedule that.
So you can schedule that the same way you do Clemson now.
Right. That's exactly.
The only question would be whether or not Georgia would do that.
Why wouldn't they? They win 75%.
But they've already gotten an ACC locked in opponent every year with Georgia Tech.
True enough.
So if you lose Georgia though, is it really that bad of a deal to only play Georgia once every 7 or 8 years? I think I'd sign up for that.
I'll trade Georgia for Georgia Tech.
Trent from Hillsborough, North Carolina. He is all in on the playoff expansion. This is the one thing that I want to put the nail in. Pop this balloon, man. We are not getting playoff expansion. I saw your tweet the other day.
It just looks so fun.
It looks interesting on this tweet, but really think about this when you break this down.
Well, yeah, but you're going to say the same thing about your conference tournament that you love in basketball. It ends up being chalk or pretty close to it most of the time. Right?
No.
You get some up. Yeah, but not at the end.
What are you talking about, the ACC tournament?
No, I'm talking about the big dance.
You're talking about the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
Okay, but my point, that's always been like that. And it's a sport that lends itself to a tournament like that.
I'll give you that.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, you're talking about you honestly would sit here and tell me that you would be fired up to watch Iowa and Utah in a 7-10 matchup. No, you wouldn't, man. No, you would not. You're not watching that. So let's stop with this. Well, we need playoff. All right, listen. Heather Dinich is like the ESPN college football playoff guru, right? She goes on TV and tells you, well, when could this happen? And she tells you, realistically, the TV deal is 12 more years. 12 more years. Before this TV, you are getting 4 teams for 12 more years.
Do you think there's a pretty good chance in 12 years, like a bunch of people are probably going to get arrested by the FBI anyway? Like, I think college football may not survive 12 more years.
As I say, in 12 years, I honestly can't sit here and tell you what I think college football is even going to look like in 12 years. It may look like something completely different than what we have right now.
The only thing I'm fairly certain of is that in 12 years, Will Muschamp will still be the head coach at South Carolina. But other than that, I don't know. I don't know what
we could all be so. If Will Muschamp was still the head coach of South Carolina and Brad Brownell was still the head coach at Clemson, oh gosh, that would just tickle me pink.
Are they not the same dude?
Pretty much.
Pretty
much. But no. Listen, the playoff expansion. Stop with the playoff expansion, man. This is the first time I said it in the episode 156 when we were talking about this year's playoff. This is the first time that I've actually been fired up for both matchups. Well, a couple years ago when you had, what was it? It was Georgia and Oklahoma.
Clemson,
that was a good year.
Clemson, Alabama.
But, other than that, and I'm probably more excited about this one than I was that one. Like, this is a good 14 playoff field, man. Are we really that upset because Utah or Oregon got left out or Wisconsin got left out? No, we don't care, man. Trent, you are wrong. Is that right? Yeah, Trent, you are wrong, man. Off to the NFL side, BG. Give me a grievance for the NFL. I'm sure we have mucho dinero grievances.
Bruce Allen's one of my grievances. Dan Snyder, he's another one of my grievances. Did I mention Bruce Allen?
Yeah, but that might be. Excuse me. Fixing itself here before too. It might not be a grievance for too much longer.
It may not be. I think Dan Snyder is probably going to be a grievance for a long, long, long time, unless he invites OJ over.
Well,
I came back. Yeah, I'm good at that.
Look, man. Speaking as a Cowboys fan, listen, your owner is your owner.
No, yeah,
you got to find a way to work around that. But look, one thing that I've heard the last few weeks that just. I just roll my eyes at people. Was that all of a sudden we need to change the NFL playoff format, right?
Oh no!
If you lose if you win your division with a losing record team should not be hosting playoffs
because of you guys, right? Because of the East.
But all of a sudden because the Cowboys are staring down the barrel of maybe winning a division with a losing record, now we want to jump in and we want to have this discussion about changing.
It doesn't happen often.
It doesn't happen that often. But I didn't hear anybody raising a whole lot of sand when the Seahawks did it.
Right.
And they won a game. I didn't hear anybody raising.
They didn't really win a game.
Marshawn Lynch did.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I didn't hear anybody raising sand when the Carolina Panthers did it, and they won a playoff game. Right? So why now? Because the Dallas Cowboys might be the team that does it. Now we all want to get our panties in a bunch. Sit down, man. Sit down and enjoy the Cowboys playoff game. That's what I got to say to you.
If it's the Cowboys and the 49ers, I can almost guarantee you I will enjoy that game.
You probably will.
I think my biggest grievance in the NFL right now is people, how's the best way to put this? Acting like draft position is the be-all and end-all, especially when it comes to quarterbacks. Have we not proven in this league by now that no one, not one single team in the league can predict quarterback talent? Not one.
No.
Nobody.
Every once in a while, somebody will come out where you're like, that dude's not going to. Andrew, every once in a while, you get an Andrew Luck that comes out where you're like, yeah, that dude's going to be the dude. But outside of those guys, it's all a crapshoot, man.
But even Andrew Luck did not perform to the level that we thought he might. Right? He did not replace Peyton Manning, and he's gone. Mm-hmm. I mean, and all that's part of it. His inability to stay healthy, leading to his "I'm done," which I have no problem with. But again, that's all part of what you.
But I'm saying, had he not walked away, we would.
But I guess what I'm saying is him walking away. All those psychological tests again. That's all part of it. All right, but it used to be, right, there weren't these guys. The Tom Brady's of the world were the exception to the rule. Mm-hmm. That's not really so much the case anymore, man. And the Gardner Minshew's of the world are becoming more populous than they once were. Guys that can contribute. I think more and more, you're really looking at how well organized organizations are.
That's what I was going to say. Look at Pittsburgh. They lose a Hall of Fame quarterback, and as we sit here today, they're on their third string quarterback, and they would be the 16 men.
Did you see the picture of Ben Roethlisberger on the sideline yesterday? When I tell you that man has a beard down to the middle of his chest, and he looks like he weighs every bit of 475 pounds.
That's great.
I'm telling you, boy, I don't think we might not see Ben again. Like he
he looks like he's enjoying the not playing a little bit. You're saying
either that, or he looks like he is ready to not be part of Western civilization anymore. Like, I'm gonna buy a tiny house in Montana, and I'll see y'all later.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea.
I knew you would like that. But yeah, so just the over analysis, or what a team like the Redskins are willing to do to get these guys. And what do? You give away any chance you have of surrounding them with talent by trading the farm to get them, and then putting them behind an offensive line that can't protect them with no tools to throw to, no weapons. I just think that as important as quarterback is, there's a healthy dose that needs to be admitted of that. A lot of this is a crapshoot right now.
No, you're right. Now, look, in any draft, I think it's you're basically trying to buy you're trying to buy that lottery ticket. But quarterback's the one where if you miss on a quarterback, you miss on a quarterback, you're going to get fired. If you miss on a defensive tackle or a cornerback, okay, we're going to move on to the next guy. But you draft a quarterback and he is a bum, you're out of here, man.
Yeah,
you are out of here.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to get your take on this one. I thought this was an interesting because you've kind of beaten
even if your quarterback gets hurt, you're out of here.
Oh yeah, you've kind of beaten this drum on the NBA side a little bit. But Riley out of Tennessee, some town I can't really read what she said, but she said she wants to do away with divisions entirely in the NFL.
In the NFL.
In the NFL, because her argument is that.
Do we know Riley's not a guy?
Well,
couldn't that be a guy's name?
It could be. But I'm saying...
We're sorry, Riley.
Yeah, Riley, he, she. It is 2019. But if you do away with divisions of the NFL, and I started thinking about it, okay, that would solve the whole... One, that would solve your whole losing record problem, which, like you said, doesn't come up that often, right? But two, if you don't have... You're the San Francisco 49ers. Or the Seattle Seahawks. One of them's going on the road week 1.
Yeah.
That solves that problem. That you go 11-5, you're not going on the road to an 8-18. I don't know. It's got some merit to it. I kind of liked it. I kind of liked it.
I like that aspect of it.
Take the New England Patriots, right? They have hidden in this terrible division for 20 years.
Sure.
That's gone. That's gone. Yeah. All of a sudden, however you build a schedule from there.
That's what I say. That's where it comes into
play. However you build a schedule from there, but with that scenario, you're not getting. If you're in a terrible division, you're the Patriots. You're not getting 6 built-in wins a year for 20 years. I like it, man.
Okay, so let me ask you.
I like it.
Obviously, we've not
2 minutes. Yeah.
We haven't carried our part of the bargain in this thing, but let's take the Cowboys and the Redskins. Let's think back to I think 80s and 90s when both of these teams were powerhouses and they're playing twice a year, and there was something electric about those games. Now you're not going to have that anymore.
Well, no, I think you could do. I think you could set it up in a way, kind of like as the college conferences have gotten bigger. I think you could set it up in a way where we're still going to have this protected rivalry. Now, you might not be able to play the Giants every year,
right?
But you're going to at least play the Cowboys every year. Does that make sense?
And then not every team has those. And then,
maybe this is an opportunity to foster one.
Honestly, I think you could argue, like with your case, that the Giants might be a bigger rival to you guys. I mean, I think historically speaking, it's us, but.
I liked it. I thought it was a cool idea.
I don't think the league is broken enough to need that kind of a risky move. I think the chance of that backfiring is way higher than the chance. The NFL is super popular.
Yeah.
Like you said, what's happening with you guys right now doesn't happen that often. And let's be honest, you're not going to win.
You might. You don't know.
You might. But I don't see the Cowboys putting together 3 good games in a row against good teams.
It will be a stretch.
They might win one.
Listen,
I hope they do.
That is it for Festivus for 2019.
The NFC title game. Sign that man to an extension.
Are you done?
Well, I'm just saying what I hope. Festivus is also.
Goodbye, Festivus.
Isn't
We aired
Festivus
some
about-
grievances.
Hope.
I'm about to issue a feats of strength on my partner over here with a pole.